This is the Dollemore Daily, and I'm Jesse Dollemore.
The World Economic Forum is taking place in Davos right now. You're probably hearing a lot about it. And it is I think by the World Economic Forum's definition, it's a way to face the problems that, or address the problems that face us as a globe and move forward in a singular purpose to solve those problems. More apt, though, the New York Times' Peter Goodman, an author of the book Davos Man, How the Billionaires Devoured the World, he has a more apt explanation of it. And this plays into what I'm going to play. Obviously, you know what I'm going to talk about because you read the title and you saw the thumbnail of the video, that Kyrsten Sinema flapped her gums on the stage at Davos in just rampant, sickening hypocrisy. Traitor to the country, traitor to her party, but most importantly, to regular, hardworking Americans who want nothing more than to have their voice heard in voting. And they rely on the constitutionally protected right to vote. They rely on politicians like her to uphold that sacred tradition and institution in our country, democracy. And Peter Goodman has this to say about Davos, and this will play into some of what she said. In Davos, talking is the same thing as doing. Actually, let's do this. Let's do this. While I'm reading this, see if any of this also applies to Kyrsten Sinema. Again, in Davos, talking is the same thing as doing. The mere existence of a conversation, ideally a multi-stakeholder dialogue, is tallied up as action. Could there be a more apropos sentence to append to Kyrsten Sinema? Moving on here, the World Economic Forum is not a secret government or organized conspiracy. It's a giant business meeting, a chance for the heads of multinational oil giants to sit opposite Persian Gulf potentates, fronted by the performance art of earnest panel discussions aimed at solving the problems of the day. And then finally, Peter Goodman writes, more than anything, Davos is a prophylactic against change, an elaborate reinforcement of the status quo served up as the pursuit of human progress. That about sums it up. I would agree with this apt description of Davos and the World Economic Forum. So, knowing what it's about, or what I believe, and I think you would agree it's about, let's watch Kyrsten Sinema wax poetic, using a lot of flowery, nebulous language around her opposition to the filibuster and her mission as an agent of chaos in the Senate. And also catch the little blurb about talking about Kevin McCarthy, her dear, dear friend.
Senator Cruz, since last time we met, you become an independent.
That's correct.
Happened that same day or the day after, didn't it?
So, as folks know, I have formally declared my independence from what I consider to be a deeply broken two-party system. Those who know me know that I was always an independent voice and always have been for the things that I believe in and for my state and for my country. But I do think it's important to note that what you've heard about partisanship, I believe, is accurate. You know, in the last 2 years, if we think, January 6th, which is a horrible day from 2 years ago, created, I think, concern and fear for every patriotic American across the country. But in the resulting 2 years, the Democratic Party shared a narrative that said we would not have any more free and fair elections in this country if the United States Congress didn't eliminate the filibuster and pass a massive voting rights package. As we all know, the filibuster was not eliminated. Joe and I were not interested in sacrificing that important guardrail for the institution. That massive voting rights bill was not passed through Congress. And then we had a free and fair election all across the country. And as has been noted, the outcome of that election was different than many people expected. Most election deniers lost across the country, and individuals of both political parties, some extreme, some moderate, won. So we had a free and fair election. So one could posit that the push by one political party to eliminate an important guardrail in an institution in our country may have been premature or overreaching in order to get the short-term victories they wanted. Then we fast forward to where we are today, and we saw the House of Representatives struggle for multiple days in a row as Kevin McCarthy, dear friend of mine, had to continue conceding point after point after point to the radical right of the GOP, to a point where he's now in an unenviable position that will make it very difficult for us to meet our obligation when the debt limit fight comes up later this year. Those are just two examples of the pull that you see political parties giving in order to get everything they want.
She's a disaster. She's a garbage person. First of all, just happened to slip it in there that Kevin McCarthy, the radical clown show leader of the Republicans in the House, is your dear friend. Unnecessary. We know he's your dear friend, Kyrsten Sinema. The other thing, though, is this adulation and deference to the not written in the Constitution filibuster rule. That massive voter bill wasn't passed. She also didn't approve of the minimum wage increase. But the most troubling thing for me about what she just said and what you heard her say was talk about the insurrection. January 6th, a horrible day for our country. ... But Democrats in the intervening 2 years or whatever she said, there was no criticism of Republicans and their attempt to overthrow the United States government by way of insurrection, and by way of insurrection through overturning a free and fair election. No criticism for the Republicans. It's all heaped upon Democrats. Oh, it was a horrible day for our nation. But Democrats. On what planet is she living? Again, truly, in Davos, talking is the same thing as doing. The mere existence of the conversation, ideally a multi-stakeholder dialogue, is tallied up as action. Her multi-stakeholder dialogue being with her dear friend, Kevin McCarthy, she's doing something. She's representing the people of Arizona while she goes down for photo ops with a conservative eye on the border. This is a woman who claimed to be a member of the Green Party, an ultra-liberal, leftist even. And here she is defending an arcane aspect of the United States Senate that only beleaguers progress. It only inhibits any good thing to happen relative to voting rights, relative to restricting gerrymandering, relative to an actual working, functional democracy in the United States. And she's proud of herself for this. For me, it was just a bizarre clip I wanted to share. And it's really telling who she associates with and the things that they oppose. Or not, unfortunately for us, unfortunately for her, and fortunately for the rest of the country and for Arizona, Ruben Gallegos, it looks like, is going to run for that seat. Primary her when the election comes up. He tweeted this: Kyrsten Sinema hasn't held a town hall in Arizona for years. Instead, she flies to Switzerland for a town hall with the rich and powerful. Not a joke. I haven't made a decision on running, but I'm one step closer today. If you're with me, chip in here. And then he gave a link, which I will provide below, happily provide below, to his Act Blue, his fundraising page, which I would encourage you. If you got $5, if you got $20, if you got some dollars, ship him his way, because we need a viable candidate to oust Kyrsten Sinema, who's in this play now to try to keep her seat by appealing to Republicans. Wait, the closer we get to her election, her re-election race, the more conservative she will be, the more appealing to the radical elements of the Republican Party. She's gonna go the way of Tulsi Gabbard. Just wait for it. But it's gonna be a slow, methodical pace that takes place to get her there. What do you think? I'd love to know. You can call. Leave me a brief voicemail, 714-576-4054. You can email me as well, daily@dollemore.com. If you want to take part in producing this content, click the join button below, become a channel member, or go over to patreon.com/IDoubtIt podcast. Both those are great ways to support. Follow me on social media. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok @Dollemore. And I'll see you next time. I love you guys. I appreciate you very much. Be genuine. Take care of one another.